I gotta ask you something. You said all was forgiven on that day, right?
Yeah.
If my memory serves me right, that was the same day the Fat Joe and 50 Cent squashed their beef at that same funeral, no?
I mean, I don't know that story. You have to ask Joe and them. I thought they squashed it at the BET Awards. But you know what? Shout to Joe, because Chris gave Joe his first opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a long time. Man, let me tell you something. I'm Puerto Rican through my blood, man. I never wanted anything more in this game than to work with Fat Joe and Big Pun and Terror Squad. But for certain reasons, I couldn't. For certain loyalties, I wasn't able to. For certain, job descriptions and certain sides of lines that I stood on, I couldn't, man. But Joe always kept it 100, man. Joe, Pistol Pete, you know what I'm saying? Rich, like, yo, man, I love those guys, man. Like, as Latinos, man, you think y'all got an uphill battle trying to break records and be in the music business. As Latinos, it's even harder. I'll be honest. And, as Nori. Nori was the catalyst between reggaeton and hip hop with Daddy Yankee and Gasolina years ago, but he was never embraced or accepted by that community. And I tell you, man, like Joe and watching that, I always had this heart's desire to work with guys like that, to be that bridge, but it wasn't time. And then CJ comes in, but we'll get into that later.
Hold on, I want to use this as a segue. You mentioned Nori.
Mm-hmm.
You are involved in so many moments in hip hop.
Yeah.
I want to talk about another moment, historic moment in hip hop.
Oh, here we go.
I gotta ask.
Hey, man, I respect that.
We don't get to talk to the legendary James Cruz too often. You're managing Capone-N-Noreaga.
Yes, sir.
Go down to Hot 97, I believe in 2001 or something, and there's a shootout.
Yeah. 20 years ago.
20 years ago. Can you walk us through, because this is a moment in hip hop. Obviously, you have relationships with the with Little Kim,
the Queen,
the Queen. Shout to Lil Kim. You got relationships with her whole team.
Yes, sir.
And you're managing Noreaga, who is one of the nicest dudes. One of the nicest artists I've ever met.
Shout to Nori, man. I love Nori. Yeah, shout to Drink Champ.
He's such a dope dude.
You know what I'm saying? Like shout to N.O. I want to be clear about something for the fans listening. Like, I did not personally one person manage these artists. I was part of a team. We had a team at Violator. Chris Lighty, Mona Scott, James Cruz, Eric Nix, Akina Rahman. There was so many of us at Violator that we all took a part in each one's of our artist's career. Mm-hmm. I was a day-to-day guy. If you went to radio, like you said, promo man, I was at radio. If you went on tour, I was on tour with you. I was a guy moving around. I love to travel, and I also love to protect our artists, especially on road. Not from a security standpoint, but from a business standpoint. So yes, Hot 97, there was a situation. In that situation, I think there was, just like what's happening today, I feel like the government and law enforcement just really has an eye out for successful individuals in hip hop and are trying to create things that aren't really there. And yes, we all got jammed up. But to that point, yes, to this day, I still have an incredible relationship with the Queen Bee, Little Kim. I still have an incredible relationship with D-Rock and Rube and Junior Mafia. I will say this. It was a really tough time for a lot of people, and a lot of people got put in situations they didn't deserve. But everything happens for a reason. And whatever that reason was, that's 20 years ago. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. And you just keep it like that.
Good answer. I will say this because Vlad recently interviewed Gutter. Okay. Everybody knows Gutter, from Notorious B.I.G.
Shout to Gutter, shout to Gutter, shout to Banger, shout to Gutter, shout to Lil C, shout to the whole Mafia.
Yeah, and Gutter spoke about that incident in detail. So, and he personally was like, yo, he let off something like 20 shots.
We was leaving, they pulled up, they had a few cats with them, and some words was exchanged, then some shots was exchanged, pretty much.
Well, according to the reports, they say that you fired at least 20 shots during that time. And this guy named Efrain Ocasio got shot.
Yeah.
Did you see, from your standpoint, first and foremost, at that time, and I believe, and I could be wrong, I know that there was a feud going on between Kim and Foxy Brown. Was that at the core of it? What was the issue here?
Listen,
Do you even know?
I was just happened to be at the radio station doing my job that day. I had no idea that there was even a beef, an ongoing beef. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what was happening. All I know is that Clue booked Junior Mafia right before he booked Capone-N-Noreaga. I don't even know if he knew. I don't think anybody knew. If you knew, why would you do that anyway? So, no, I didn't know there was ongoing beef. No, I didn't know the severity of that beef. But again, you know, when you do the right thing, you can never be wrong. And the right things were done. Hence, I still have a great relationship with Little Kim, the Queen Bee, and I still have a great relationship with a lot of the people involved, and that will continue.
You know, it's so crazy, you know, even as we're having this conversation, because you don't never know where these beefs stem from. I do know Kim, she dissed Foxy on the Notorious K.I.M. Foxy comes back, because I was trying to figure out, like, how the hell did Capone-N-Noreaga even get in this mix? Like, what they got to do with this? But, you know, even as I'm thinking about it now, I know Foxy, she did a verse on Bang Bang, a Capone-N-Noreaga song, where she went back at Kim. So I'm wondering if that whole situation stemmed from that one little verse. Because I still don't know how.
I don't know either. After everything that happened and hearing all that, it makes sense, but nobody really knows except the people truly involved. So why try to figure that out? Why are we asking that question 20 years later?
Well, you know, Gutter said he went down and eventually he did 16 years, like 16 years behind that. So he's home and shout
Welcome home, Gutter. I never forget, we did the Bad Boy 20th anniversary concert at the Barclays, man, and everybody was there. And, you know, that
we're gonna talk about that. Don't skip the line. You know what's crazy too. And again, shout to Little Kim, thorough chick.
Nah,
you know, she wound up doing a year behind on perjury charges. So that whole thing was crazy. But let's just keep it moving.
No, they were trying to make an example out of people. Yo, to answer your question, they were trying to make an example. You see it today. You saw it back then. The only difference is that today, there's a lot more involved on the street side than it was then. You know what I'm saying? So from what they're trying to put together, RICO acts. You see, RICO, what are you talking about? But at the end of the day, again, Little Kim, the Queen Bee, I love you. And I know she loves me. We talk all the time. I've actually bumped into her in Miami not too long ago at Club 23. And I always do something when I see Kim. I get down on one knee and I pay homage. I pay homage because Little Kim, like you said, is thorough. And the rest of that team is thorough. And shout to D-Rock, shout to Rube, shout to Banger, shout to Gutter, shout to Lil C, shout to all Junior Mafia, man. Like, shout to y'all. Miss you, big.
That incident for you was a turning point in your life in a lot of different ways. Because if I got my timeline correct and just my memory, you really left that whole situation and kind of went through I don't want to know if I want to call it stepping away from the industry. I don't know if you were depressed. I don't know. Like that situation for you was life-changing, no?
I was lost, man. I was lost. I never forget, you know. I mean, we talk a lot about mental health nowadays. Mental health is a very hot topic. Back then, we didn't talk about mental health. Talk about 20 years ago. Mental health, you know, substance abuse, alcoholism was looked at as a weakness, not as a disease. Sometimes as men, you know, we don't like to ask for help because we'll handle it ourselves. But it wasn't just that. It was a lot of things that put me into a concerned depression. It was a lot, you know. Shout to my daughter Alexis. You know, she broke me out of it. You know, there's nothing like having a beautiful family. Family's everything. And I have an amazing family. And my daughter Alexis was the one who really shook me out of that.
Really?
Yeah, it was a tough time. I don't use this as a badge of courage or as anything to brag about, but I'm the only one person in 2 to 3 shootouts at Hot 97. And the second shootout happened the day before I had to testify. And what was said was said. Look at the paperwork, but what was said saved a lot of people. But that was a very troubling time. And a client of mine said to me one day, he said, listen, like I said before, I get hit in the head, I call the wolves. You get hit in the head, you call 911. You a civilian. There's certain codes and philosophies I live by. Doing the right thing, being on the side of what's right. You can never be wrong. Building your own philosophy, paying things forward. But there's street codes and stuff that I respect, but I didn't necessarily live by. And I learned to respect them, engage them, and embrace them and do the right thing for the people. Shout to Roger Bonds. You know what I'm saying? Shout to Bonds, man. Bonds taught me a lot.
Shout to Bonds. And more importantly, for anybody who knows, Bonds is one of the most stand-up fathers in hip-hop. We're praying for your son, Kevin.
Yes, free Kevin.
So definitely, free Kevin.
Free Kevin. Like Bonds, angels come into your life in different shapes and forms. And Bonds came into my life as an angel and really taught me where I went wrong in that. I grew up, ain't no excuses here, bro. Like, never had a positive male role model in my life, never had a father figure, whatever. All that and a token will get me on the train. But Bonds really put his arm around me and really explained the situation, not just to me, but to everybody, and really made it a point to speak the truth. And one of the most stand-up guys on the face of the earth, a dear friend to this day, Bonds, man. If I never said it to you before, man, thank you, bro.
Let me ask you this. You mentioned testifying. We won't go deep into it. We don't even need to. But if you had to go back into time, would you handle the situation the same way, being this older version of James Cruz?
I would have definitely handled it differently because I would have known, because the experience came from dealing with the situation. Mm-hmm. I didn't have the experience prior to. And there were a lot of mistakes made by a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Not just 1 or 2 people, a lot of mistakes made in that whole situation. A lot of concerned mistakes. And at the end of the day, whatever was said on my behalf helped people. Whatever was said on my behalf was, at that time, my truth. And that's all I'll say about that.